when I
You just
heard it.
need to
You know what I
record.
mean? Negative, negative,
Is my
negative.
voice clear?
It's pretty clear. It's a little. You get like some statics and stuff, but it could just be like mic placement. When you get too close to a mic, it like the air on it rebounds. So
This one.
yeah, it's not bad.
Right.
It's like when I'll hear it when it like bumps against the shirt or whatever else like that. That's what I'm like talking about. So like it'll like bump the
Okay.
shirt and then it'll like make a reverberation in the microphone.
I think I should just.
It's difficult. It's difficult to get perfect. That's why I
So
like
how's
the one,
America?
even like the how's America? Oh man, it could always be better. I swear to God, my they talk about the American education system a lot, and I don't think it's always bad. Don't get me wrong. I just think that by and large, like what they prescribe to most people is kind of like right shit. You know what I mean? So yeah. So if you know, it's like if you don't got like the right amount of connections or money, you're gonna probably get like a bad education. That's kind of what I'm
Yeah.
dealing with right now. Yeah, that's
I
my
mean,
brief in America right now.
it seems like every day everything is like going far from each other, especially the left and the right. You know,
Yeah,
the
yeah. There's been
more, yeah,
there's major polarization all the time, man. Like, did you see that thing about the guy who got like assassinated and stuff like that just recently?
yeah, I know. Kurt, right?
Yeah,
Charlie.
yeah. I was talking about it with some other people a while back where I was like, these things are going to devolve to where the left starts using gun violence to like, because that's like a big proponent of like what the left talks about is like
Yeah,
they're like anti-gun and they're like anti-violence and this and that and the other. I was like talking to someone about it. I'm like, these people are going to start combating with each other on a higher level. You know, they're going to use actual violence because we've seen violence with the Republicans for a while, like right wing conservative extremists for a while. But now I was like
yeah,
talking about how the left is also going to start perpetrating the same acts, and eventually it'll like snowball and devolve into like just outright chaos. And I think at this point, this example of this guy getting assassinated, you know, and then
mhm,
previously with Donald Trump, you know, like you had several people try and assassinate him as well. I think that was like the start of it, and at this point now we're like leading into just extremist behavior on both sides that will probably devolve into something even worse. And only time will tell. But I was like talking to someone about this. I'm like, yeah, these groups are just going to continue to squabble and create mass chaos and violence with one another. Do I vote?
Rose.
Yes, I don't really. You said vote, right?
Huh?
No, I don't really do that. No. I'm
I mean,
just
you froze.
what?
You froze.
Froze. Oh, okay. I was like wondering what was going on there for a second. It's always
That's
it's weird that I
um,
freeze and stuff because I always have great service. It's trips me up. Trips me up. I don't know why it happens.
actually that person that was assassinated. It was the first time actually that I heard something about him. Usually, I listen to a lot of like GOP podcasts. Actually, I've been listening to Ben Shapiro. You know, like those people. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know him.
Yeah, I know Ben Shapiro. I go back and forth whether I like Ben. Because he makes really good points and everything else. And then other times he's just kind of like nuts. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
did
I
you ever
know.
see his rap? He made a
Yeah,
rap with a famous
I
musician.
think it become number one. I don't know.
Ah, dude. He might have made more than one music video, but it's it was something else, dude. I don't know. I that's why I like Ben though. He does do some stuff that you wouldn't typically see. Hello,
Hi,
Savannah.
Savannah. How are you?
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted us to talk about something, you could always like put that you wanted us to talk about there in the comment section.
Yeah, definitely.
Where are you from, by
See,
the way?
yeah,
And
Charlie Kirk. Oh, go ahead.
I
Yeah,
think
sorry.
Ren has a theme of other like GOP YouTubers actually that I watch also. He has this like black girl that I watch most of the time. I forget her name. Amala, I think, or I don't know. And then this other white girl who who played Snow White in the GOP kind of version of Snow White.
I
I don't.
think like the new one, the new like the new Disney one or something. Is that the same girl or?
Remember Disney created like this reiteration of Snow White, right? And
Yeah.
most of the people from like the GOP didn't like it, so they kind of produced a different Snow White. And that
Oh,
one YouTuber who does things like this,
I had
usually
no
I
idea about
watch
that.
because most of the time, the things that they talk about make sense. Actually, there are just other things also that doesn't make sense for me.
Yeah.
Hi guys, hi
Prince
Prince.
VR. Hello. What kind of YouTube you make, man? Maybe we can have you on the podcast sometimes or collaborate on something. I don't know.
Yeah, we can collaborate.
See, I that's kind of like I think they like kind of cut the noise a lot of the time. Oh, we're both old men, very old men.
I'm
We're already
older
starting to
than
gray our hair and yeah.
I am 35. Dorian is, I think, 30, 28, right?
Yes, I'm 30. No, I'm 28. Yeah. Still an old man though. I swear. It's all mental. I've been an old man since I was a child. Oh my god. Ugh. Beyond my years. I look
Dorian thinks
younger sometimes.
Dorian thinks like an old man. Actually, sometimes I hate that about him.
Deep philosophical shit constantly. If it doesn't eat your soul, it's not worth thinking about, I say.
But he could be childish too. He could
Oh yeah.
be so dramatic also.
It's good to be. It's good to be. It's good to have both those things in your life. It helps to make you a more well-rounded person, I think. So,
That's true, but
yeah.
I try to stay away from the drama.
Oh, drama, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's not good to want to be around my drama usually. It's that's pretty obtuse. People typically
You
wouldn't
should
like it, I think.
actually do the live setup. The lighting looks really good on you.
The light, oh, that's the sun rising, dude.
Yeah.
Power of the sun. I know. I thought I was looking at myself in the camera. I couldn't help it. I'm like, damn, dude, I'm looking good right now. I need some light props. I've been thinking about it. Like I told you, I'm supposed to get some money for school and stuff here soon. And then when they give me that, I'm gonna buy some gear and whatever else, some more gear. So
By the way, Savannah, where's St. Mary's? Is it in the US or are you in the US or somewhere else?
it seems like a US thing, but I'm not positive. That could be anywhere, realistically.
I see. Oh, it's in the US.
Yeah, I
Do you
thought
like
so.
do you create contents too? Dorian here creates a lot of contents related to anything under the sun. Sometimes
Yeah,
political, sometimes stupid stuff.
It just depends, man. It just depends. I like to do tech. I like to do I like again diversity and personality. You know.
Mhm.
Oh, don't you can't quit. You can't quit, man. They say just to keep going and keep going, and eventually you'll make a breakthrough somewhere. The algorithm's always changing, so it's like really complicated. I get that. I think I've made over 800 or 900 videos in total, like through my various YouTubes.
Just don't mind
Oh man,
them.
haters. I get it.
I
I get it,
mean,
man. It's
Dorian
part of it.
is Dorian is supposed to quit actually, but you know what? What he did? He bought a green screen.
Yeah.
I thought he was
Well,
quitting.
I made the green screen. I made the green screen. I didn't. I bought cloth and made it. So I mean, don't get me wrong. I would have bought the green screen, too expensive. So yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
they
I
will do that, man. Sometimes you just gotta know how to like. Sometimes you find people who appreciate what you produce. Eventually, it's really difficult, and like talking to camera or scripting things is also difficult. You know, lately I've been working on scripting stuff. Sometimes you need to like figure out ways to create like a teleprompter or whatever else, and like I was saying, I made a green screen. It's about being creative and trying to find your audience, I think. I think that you can do it. Just like a lot of dedication for not a lot of results immediately.
actually Dorian has been ranting about his frustrations. Also, he's been doing this for years already, and sometimes when he creates a video, it doesn't even reach,
Oh my god.
especially
It's
the
weird.
long one.
Yeah. It's weird. Like sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, but usually it's only something highly controversial or like jaw-dropping to people. That's what gets views. It really is. I hate that that's how it is, but like our 24-hour news cycle has been doing it for decades, and that just seems to be what attracts people. They want to feel upset or worried or like they're right. That's just kind of how YouTube is organized. I don't know what kind of content you made. Maybe if it was like
Oh yeah,
creative stuff, that's more
I
difficult.
was about to ask her actually what kind of content she does.
Yeah,
They talk to each other.
it could. Yeah, that person said they were a YouTuber also. You know what I mean? So I asked
If
what they
you
did, but I didn't quite get the response on that. He does VR stuff, so maybe he does like they have this. God, what's the? It's a game they have. So like they go in there and they have VR. You know how I was talking about making VTuber models and stuff like that. So
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
game in VR that you can go use your VTuber models and like interact with people in like real
Mm,
world setting and stuff like that. I was thinking about
I
doing
see.
that kind of stuff too.
Do you get a lot of views doing those things?
I think it's just about like again, it's like so many variables that affects like how many views you get. I think it's the algorithm, all sorts of stuff.
It's really hard actually to find the niche that's unique already because most of the time every space has
Not highly
been
saturated.
covered.
Definitely. Everything's highly saturated. I think that again, that's where like character comes out. So if you like present yourself in a fun, positive, or and people attach to you some kind of story that they
Mm,
appreciate or whatever else, I think that's like a big part of it. Like you still got to be genuine. You still got to be yourself and genuine. But like I think that's what attracts viewers.
sure, we will be here.
Take it easy. Definitely.
Actually, the last videos that you have posted using those green screen looks better already. I think you're
Definitely.
up to something.
No, I agree with you. I did that video on surveillance and then I did a video on eugenics. and they kind of did pretty good. And I think that it's partially, again, like the whole controversial nature of the topics. But
Mm,
yeah, no, definitely the quality is going up, and I think that people that helps. If I make good thumbnails and stuff here soon with Canva or whatever else, I think able to do the YouTube stuff lately in my class.
mm.
Learning. I'm getting used to the swing of like
You're you're static actually, Dorian. You've been talking like a robot.
my voice coming through the microphone.
Oh my god.
Can you hear me?
Eh, I don't know.
Beep boop beep 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 boop beep
You're
beep.
stupid.
I'm a robot. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what to do
It's
about
all right. I think it's the signal. I don't know. Anyway, so
it.
what are the things
I get it.
the things that you're planning to do? I mean, with the things that you're going to tackle with your future videos.
Oh man, I think I'm doing a whole series on eugenics because I think that it's like obviously historically a really bad thing, but I don't think people really understand what eugenics really is and like how it's used in the modern world with like prenatal care or like just the fact that we use eugenics every day with like animals and things like that. Again, it's a very controversial and difficult topic, but I feel like people's like understanding of it is pretty limited. So I think I'm going to
Yeah,
tackle that because again, it's like a controversial subject. It gets people feeling some type of way. It pulls an audience a little bit. You know, it creates
yeah,
historically it's awful, but it is used in everything from like genetics, genetic research to medicine to just like, you know, how our food's produced.
Mm.
So I think that's like a good thing to be doing for a little while.
Um,
I'll probably like shift from there to some other subjects soon too, but
what do you think about GMOs?
genetically modified stuff.
Yeah,
I think that it depends on how it's used and in what ways. Uh, I think they have potential for like really good things, but at the same time, I've seen research where they like were splicing scorpion DNA into like cabbages or lettuce or something like that, and I'm just like, why we do why why? I mean, obviously it creates a whole area of new research and stuff, but if that were to crossbreed with the general population of other plants, that could be potentially really dangerous. You know what I mean? You just gotta lab conditions and everything else like that have to be really good. So I get a little worried about it depending on who's doing it and for what reasons. You know what I mean? Obviously,
yeah.
but I don't think GMOs are necessarily bad.
Give me one moment. One moment.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think most of the people. Um, I think America is one of the countries who actually uses a lot of GMOs in most of their products.
Definitely.
I have
Oh yeah, we use last.
I have heard actually that most chickens in the chickens that they're using in KFC is like genetically
Yeah.
modified. Apparently, they
Yep.
bred a chicken that grows up without feathers already. That's what I heard.
I don't know about the feather thing necessarily, but they did do lots of genetic modifying. So they had chickens that were growing with like multiple extra wings and everything else like that.
Already.
So yeah, they were doing all sorts of weird stuff with there's like this website called KentuckyFriedCruelty.com that was like advocating against all that stuff specifically. Because what they do, they would like clip the beak when they were babies and stuff. And that's like essentially getting like your finger cut off.
Mm,
They were doing all sorts of crazy stuff, but they've in recent years, like in the last decade, I think it is, they put a lot of safeguards in place. So like they couldn't, because they like there would be birds at the house. So like they would be standing in because they were too heavy. So because of like animal cruelty concerns and everything else like that, they've done a lot to kind of like draw that back some, you know what I mean? So like
mm,
that obviously animal welfare is important and everything else. So they've done stuff to help safeguard that. Extreme level where they're essentially animal, you know what I mean?
I see.
You know, that does happen though. I don't know about the feather. I heard that one,
That's what I
but
heard. I
yeah.
mean, I don't know how to feel.
I wouldn't put it past them. I believe it, man. That's the thing. I 100% believe that's like could have happened. I'm I'm gonna have to look it up later because I'm curious now.
Oh, really?
But yeah, no, they do stuff like that.
I
They
mean,
definitely do stuff like
it
that.
could be a less work if the chicken has no feathers.
No, it is. No, definitely. And same with the wing thing though, dude. They got one bird, six wings. I mean, come on. That's just that's just smart, right? I mean, and it's not smart, but again, like we go back to like the whole animal welfare thing and whatever else. It just kind of like, and it makes you question if it's safe to eat. You know what I mean? Right? You know what I mean? Just a little bit. Not that it's not. It's probably 100% safe to eat if it doesn't have feathers or has six wings. It doesn't probably really matter. It's just it makes people who don't really know much about science kind of question, I think. So, like, what is the repercussions of eating this thing? And yeah, but it's probably safe, realistically.
Do you know that we have some processed foods here where you will know if it's GMO or not?
It has like a label on it.
Yeah. Apparently
Yeah.
Muslims are forbidden actually to eat genetically modified organism, GMO foods actually. So
Oh, really?
when there's a halal logo in a package, it means that it's not GMO.
No GMO, no pork and stuff like that. Essentially.
Yeah, it's
See,
safe
we
for
have a
Muslims to eat.
okay. See, we a lot of ours are if they're like heavily modified, they do have something on them. Like
Mhm.
it'll be like, oh, this is a it depends on the area in the U.S. you are in too, I guess. Because not every state has those regulations, but there was a lot of pushback for a while about it. I think that it goes back and forth. Like Americans' food is like I don't want to be like weaponized. You know what I'm saying? Because that might be the wrong term. But everything we do modify most all foods in some way to make them more like palatable or digestible or craveable even. A lot of like the what you'd call poverty foods are like craveable foods. So like it helps increase. That's why we have weight problems in America too. And some of the things are good, I think, but it's not good across the board, obviously. I think that putting labels on it is good, so that people then can make choices and whatever else about the things that they consume. I didn't
Yeah,
know that about Muslims though. I'm not surprised that they're not supposed to eat genetically modified food though. That makes sense. They're religiously are usually more strict than most
that's true.
what it would be we call it Judeo-Christian people in general. They're pretty like even if they're not like I don't want to be like they're extremists, you know what I mean? Because but there is those, but like even like just the normal level of like people who do Islam and stuff like that, they kind of are they're devout. Devout's the word I think is what it would be. Yeah, to like their faith and stuff, which is good. Which is good.
So, by the way, like growing up there, what are the kinds of religions that are happening around you?
Um, most places in America, no matter where you're at, you're gonna run into some Judeo-Christian faith and stuff like that. But that isn't to say that there isn't pretty much every faith in America. Uh, there's this image that America is kind of like intolerant of other faiths and stuff like that, I think sometimes. And I don't think that's necessarily true. You obviously have people who are like like again, extremists who don't appreciate stuff, but yeah, I'd say there's pretty much every faith. You go to any major city, you're gonna find synagogues, mosques, you're gonna find temples for like Buddhism or Hinduism and stuff like that. So it really depends. If you're in small town America though, you're probably gonna mostly run into Judeo-Christian faith-based churches, whether that's Catholic or Lutheran, Protestant, or whatever else. What's up,
Hi, Vincent.
Vincent?
How are you? What are you up to?
Glad to have you here to listen to us do our spiels,
We're-
talk about whatever we talk about, just depends on the day, I think.
yeah, currently we're talking about religion growing up,
Mm-hmm.
which could
You
be
guys are
polarizing.
yeah, definitely polarizing. You were raised Catholic, right?
Yeah,
And it's like outside of Mindanao, there's not really much I don't want to be like there's no religious diversity, you know what I'm saying? But you guys are what, like 90 some percent Catholic there, right?
90% Catholic, around, I don't know, 5% Muslim, and the other the other 5% are like Christians.
Christians, okay, yeah. I thought you were telling me like a little bit about like maybe there was like some Jewish faith or whatever. I wanted to say Judaism, but yeah, Jewish, like the Jewish people and stuff were there and whatever else. But
I mean,
maybe that's
well, I
dwindled.
was doing field work. I saw some Jews here.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of Amish looking. They wear
Oh,
like
really?
the Amish things. I
That's
was really shocked
interesting.
because
That is interesting.
uh, during the World War II, actually, I think we we welcomed some Jews here, escaping the Holocaust. I think.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So they got like now they have like a nice community there somewhere, I assume. Like you said, you were doing field work. Not an exact location, but that's probably just one of those communities then that is left
Yeah,
over from that era.
yeah,
That's cool.
most
That's really good.
probably. But it's weird because they're like wearing the Amish things. I always thought they have already like evolved from those things.
Yeah, maybe it's just like easier in the country to make those clothes or something. Maybe they just like it's cheaper for them to make the clothes and whatever else, so they dress like that. I don't know. I have no idea. You'd have to probably like go and talk with them or whatever else to really get an insight on that thing. It is interesting
Mm,
to be dressing like Amish though. I think
it-
that's fun.
All right, you told me you're like near to an Amish community, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, Michigan has lots of Amish people because we're a I don't want to say we're a farming state, exactly. Like we have a pretty diverse like economic portfolio in Michigan, but a lot of our land is used for farming. So like outside city centers and stuff, like Michigan's known for like obviously automotive and everything else like that. But other than that, if you go out of the city, it's predominantly farmland and things like
Mhm.
that. So there's lots of Amish as a result because
Yeah,
they don't have to pay their taxes and things like that. So they farm the land. They can then buy the land or whatever. They'll go like back and forth to Pennsylvania and things like that. So
do they
I
use
actually know
dollars
quite a
when
bit.
buying things also,
Do they use dollars?
or
Yeah,
do
no,
they have their own currency?
I don't know. I think sometimes in like they're not like big money people. They're usually pretty well off by like American
Mm,
standards because they're frugal people and they know the value of saving and they take good care of their stuff. But they use the US dollar.
oh,
Yeah, they use the US dollar. They're pretty much held within the law for the most part. So like they're treated like usually treated like everyone else on some level. They just like do police themselves in a way. So if someone like violates the law within the Amish community, usually the government allows them to basically set like what happens to them, more or less. It's not exactly the same as like Native American tribes and stuff like that. But yeah, they can get charged by the US government. Like they're not like a sovereign nation or whatever else like the Native Americans are, but a lot of the time when they do something wrong, they leave it up to like the quote unquote elders of the community
mm.
to enact some kind of punishment for them. So it's kind of like weird. It
Have you
happens here sometimes. Like a guy that you know what Rumspringa is?
never heard?
Okay,
What's it?
so Rumspringa is like when an Amish becomes an adult. So like just before they're an adult, they have like they go on Rumspringa. So it's like they're supposed to leave the community for a year and experience like the real world essentially, or what is like the wider world. They say the wider world, I think. So they experience the wider world and decide if they want to be a part of the Amish faith. They want to be a part of the community and things like that. And if they decide not to, they basically they call it shunning. So they'll shun
I know.
you and they won't
Yeah.
like associate with you, sort of.
I
Um,
I I always thought actually that they just like left the Amish community and not go back. So that's
that
what I
happens
have in
too.
mind actually. And I didn't know that they have this kind of phase where they allow those like people to go out and experience their real world and get to decide whether they wanted to come back to the community.
Yeah, no, they do have people who leave on their own besides with Rumspringa, but Rumspringa, yeah, I think it's supposed to help give them a better understanding of what they have, so they're more grateful for the community and stuff like that if they decide to stay. It creates a level of autonomy and choice for the faith, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's supposed to they've kind of frame it as like man, it's not like embracing the devil, you know what I'm saying, or whatever else, but it's like seeing the potentials, like the potential dangers of the modern world, but also it's just to make them more rounded and have a better understanding of what
Uh,
they're committing to and stuff like that. I think it's hard for me to like phrase appropriately.
I kind of understand. I used to watch this reality show called Breaking Amish.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you know that
I do know
they
it. I
went
know the story you're talking about.
they went to New York and they enjoyed the pleasures of the new world, and
Yeah,
then all of
yeah,
them were shunned.
yeah. One of those late girls became like a stripper and everything else, if I remember correctly. God, dude, that has to be like a whole like paradigm shift mentally to go from Amish to being a stripper. I can't
I
remember which one it was, like a blonde
I
girl or
think
something.
most of the characters from season one have some problems with the law, and most of them are
You
in
know?
prison. I think, or
I mean,
like
I probably, honestly. That's the thing. Like I was saying before, like in my communities, one of the guys who was Amish was on Rumspringa and he was like drinking and driving. This guy never really drove probably before that much. And he ended up like rolling the vehicle and killing a person or two or something like that. But because he was on Rumspringa, they kind of like let him go back to his community. So they kind of like were like, okay, you killed some people, but we realize it's kind of like, you take into account the fact that they have never drank before in their lives probably and never really drove. They don't really have an
Mm.
understanding of the what is expected on some level, you know what I mean? So that in that instance, they let the guy go back to the community. You know what I mean? They're like, okay, go be Amish. Don't ever fucking get in trouble again, essentially. You know what I mean? And they figured the Amish community would keep him from doing anything wrong again. You know what I mean? But that doesn't always happen because, like, sometimes there has been instances of Amish people who like kill people and then they're like sent to prison for
Are
a while.
Amish people Jews, or they do believe in the New Testament also?
I can't remember exactly. I think they're mostly like Old Testament followers and stuff like that. Like it's I don't want to say like they're Catholic exactly. I think they believe in the New Testament also.
Was it?
I'm not like exactly. It's hard to nail it down, but they're like they're very literal readers of the Bible. So, and some people would assume that because of that, they're not like accepting of like that they're like they are like rude or extremist or something. But they because like the Bible is like, oh, no tattoos, no like homosexuality, things like that. But the Amish aren't really like necessarily against that because they're very like welcoming and nice, and they are very much more about like being kind to other people, helping other people out, that to be a good devout Christian or whatever Muslim or not Muslim. Oh my God, gaff there. But to be a good follower of God, that you have to just be as close to how Jesus would be, essentially, and stuff like that. It's kind of
Mm.
complex, and I don't really fully understand it. I just know that they're very friendly and accepting people, and that even just because they think that you're doing something against their faith, they're not gonna be mean to you. So I think it's very much like they kind of do that whole what would Jesus do? How would Jesus treat this person? Just even if this person's not a desirable character and is going against their beliefs, how would Jesus treat this person? You know what I'm saying? I think that's how
I mean,
that's kind of how they feel like they handle stuff.
if they wanted to be like Jesus, they should get out of the community, go to New York, and then experience the sinners there.
But
Then
that's
let
what Rumspringa is about. That's what Rumspringa is about. That's the thing. Yeah.
So
That's
when they get
the
back
kind of
after
story.
that one, actually they became afraid, most probably, of how life is.
A lot of it
How
is that.
because
Yeah, I think
supposed
I think
to be Jesus taught his apostles to evangelize. That's why most of the apostles got out of Jerusalem. Even Saint Thomas went to India actually to share the word of God.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, yeah. I think that happens with them. That's like part like again like I think that's part of Rumspringa. They're supposed to go go encounter the what not like the pleasures, but God, I keep drawing a blank. Like how the devil tempts you and that kind of thing. Like to
mm,
experience the potentials for sin in the
I
modern
see.
world and that kind of thing. It's again, I'm not. My family used to be what's called Mennonite, like 2, 3 generations ago.
Your
But
family is part of the Mennonite.
yeah, we're not, but they were at one point, like they were. You know what I mean? But this was before the modern era. You know what I mean?
Mm.
This is before. I think it was like my great grandma's parents or something like that, or grandparents were Mennonites. So
Yeah, it would be nice if you will be, playing with dolls made of clay.
yeah,
They
a lot
cook
of the
their
dolls now
dolls,
are.
right?
Yeah, I mean, it's usually wood or clay. I think a lot of them around here use like wood and stuff, but yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I got to charge my phone, so I'm going to move, but we can continue chatting while I do that,
Yeah,
just because
because we're
otherwise we're
waiting
gonna.
for Savannah to be back, and she's back already.
Oh. Yeah, I know. My phone will just die on me if I don't plug it in. No more nice light on the face either, because I have to go into this workshop to plug it in.
Your workshop or your garbage?
A little bit of both. It's got lots of junk in it for various reasons.
What state are you
It's
in,
where I like
Savannah?
to build things. I want to say somewhere on the East Coast.
Or maybe somewhere in the savannah. So
In the Savannah, yeah.
I don't think the US has a savannah kind of environment, right? Hello, guys. Thank you for
Not like
watching.
how you would imagine. We have the Great Plains and stuff. I don't think like an actual Savannah, no. We have most biomes here. We have most biomes. Like we have Arctic, we have Great Plains, we have tropical forests. I think we have a small chunk of rainforest.
Oh, really?
I'm
In
not
Florida
positive. Yeah.
or in Puerto
Yeah,
Rico?
no, that's the thing. That's the thing. I don't know if it counts or not. I can't remember where it's at. But yeah, I
I
think we
think
do
I
technically have
think
rainforest.
I think Puerto Rico is pretty tropical,
Yeah, exactly. That's technically.
but
And then we have like the
but
other
they're just
islands that
like half citizens. Just kidding. Sorry for the
Yeah,
Puerto
no,
Rican.
that's the thing. They have all the rights as US citizens. They're just not like taxed and stuff. So like they can come to America and they even get our health insurance stuff and everything else. So like which what is it? They pay FICA taxes or whatever else and stuff. So they get like the rights to retirement
Mm.
benefits that the US has. They just don't pay like taxes and stuff like that the way we
And
do.
they don't vote,
Like
right?
they don't necessarily have a say in our government unless
Mm.
they come to the US. They can. They can if they choose to and stuff, but it like involves becoming like nationalized or something like that. I don't know how exactly it works, but it's a little bit complicated with them because they do have like a lot of the same rights as we do, but not all of the rights because they're not a state.
I'm just wondering also, does the District of Columbia has like some electoral college vote also?
I don't think so. That's another one of those like complicated ones. I don't think so because they're not a state either. That's
Yeah,
where
I
all
know.
our governments are run anyway. So it's
But
like
how
all
about,
our government officials live there, and
I mean, what I am thinking about is how about the people who lives there? They're technically in the US, but if they vote, where do they vote go? If they vote
I think
for the
they still vote, but I think they it's like a separate thing. So like they would vote under the probably under the authority of Washington D.C. So they would vote in Washington D.C.
Mhm.
But I don't know exactly how that works. I don't know if it's
So
like
where does
adjudicated to
where are
Virginia
their
or
votes
what.
going to? What kind? Where what state are their votes going to? Right? I mean,
That I get what you're saying. Again, I think it's like adjudicated to probably like Virginia or something or West Virginia, one or the two.
mm,
Like whatever like states are closest to it. I think it's like it would be like an adjunct to them. I don't really know. That's not something I ever really even considered, honestly. That's a good question. It's a really good
just,
question. I should look that up because I was
yeah.
looking up Puerto Rico and stuff. I can't remember if Puerto Rico. I think Puerto Ricans might actually vote or be. I know they're able to vote given certain circumstances, but I don't know
I
if.
think they can vote for their mayors there and stuff, but I don't think about like the national positions like senator or like the president.
Right. See, they don't have senators. I know they don't have senators or like congressmen because they're not a state. But I think that if they're in the US when their elections are taking place, if they're like a resident of a state, they are
Mm.
allowed to vote. But again, like it's kind of like they're in like that ambiguous area, so there's more like laws around it that I don't really quite understand. Because it's just like Native American tribes are allowed to vote, you know what I mean?
Mm.
They're a sovereign state and within the
And
US and they're allowed to vote. So I think it's one of those things. It's kind of like a complicated situation. I think Puerto Ricans can cast votes. It's just like there's extra hoops or something. I don't really know all the gray area stuff that it entails. So because even
how
I think
about
even
the Pacific
illegal
Islands like Guam and
I would
like
imagine
the
it's the same
American
Samoa.
Samoa?
Yeah.
How does it work there? Do you have an idea?
I would imagine it kind of follows similar guidelines to Puerto Rico,
I see.
like I'd imagine that. Again, I'm not like super versed in all that things. I was looking up Puerto Rico because I was discussing with someone about like the whole reason why Puerto Rico is not a state and stuff like that. Most Puerto Ricans, I don't think, want to be a state necessarily because they would kind of not really have much of a say anyway, even if they had congressmen and stuff like that, and they would
Mm.
be like kind of like marginalized. You'd become marginalized, and then you would also have the added burden of providing all this extra stuff to the government that they otherwise don't have to. Like they would have to institute sales tax and federal, like different kinds of federal tax that they don't have to pay right now because they pay some federal taxes, but they don't pay as much as most people do. Like like I said, the citizens are entitled to like certain like retirement benefits and they pay into that like social security, but they are not required to pay other taxes like land taxes and things like that. So I think that they're kind of like it depends on who you ask probably in Puerto Rico and like how old they are and everything else, whether they would want to be involved in the US actually. But I think predominantly the consensus is it's better just not to be a state and enjoy the privileges of being technically US citizens still.
I think it
You know
will
what I
be
mean?
hard for them to be a state because, based on history, you need another state to be if you wanted to become a state because it should be like one Republican and one Democrat state, and also it will be hard for them to fit to add another two stars in the flag, and they will need to like.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying there. They would have to change the flag. Um, I think that a lot of the time, I think most of the U.S. would be like pretty willing to allow Puerto Rico to be a state on both sides, whether they're Democrat or Republican. I don't think that they would have major issues with it. But again, I think just Puerto Rico just kind of doesn't really super want to, because like for the last decade or so, we've been kind of discussing that here and there, but they kind of haven't pushed for it. So at this point, there was like a brief moment where they're kind of like really trying to, and then I think they backpedaled and decided not to do that. So
It's like applying for the EU. I mean,
yeah,
e- what's this country? I forget actually.
are you talking about like Moldova or something, or
Although
like yeah,
Moldova, they've been trying to apply to the EU there. Currently, their president is actually more EU
same
leaning,
here.
but before that, actually,
Yeah.
it was like Russia leaning, so it was hard for them to apply. And then currently, they have like a more democratic kind of leader, so that's why they're trying to apply. Have you been
Yeah,
there?
well,
You just been to Romania, right?
yeah,
Have you
no,
been?
I did not go to Moldova. I was really hoping to. I mean, that's like from the Moldovan region of Romania, and like they kind of separated and everything else. But they got, if you look at their flag,
I know
you
they
know
have
that
the
they're
different
pretty
flag.
close.
They just have like what do you call that thing?
Insignia, or
Insignia.
yeah, they
Apparently,
differentiate themselves.
actually, watching too much Eurovision, most Moldovans actually wanted to be like part again of Romania.
There was a big push for that. Yeah, Romania's doing really well. They're one of the up and coming countries in
I
Europe,
mean,
especially
I
Eastern
think that's
Europe.
the reason why Romania doesn't want Moldova, because Moldova is such a poor country. They don't want to like add another problem to their economy.
Yeah, I think that they realize, they're like, you guys wanted your autonomy, we let you have it. Now you're would be a financial burden to us. You made this decision, you got to go with it. And that's probably a big push why they want to be a part of the EU and stuff like that. Sandu is, they passed that referendum and stuff. I think that in the next 5 to 10 years, there's a good chance that they'll probably join and stuff like that. It's just like in Romania, they've been trying to convert to the euro for a very long time,
Mm,
and they just haven't yet. I think in Hungary, they have like the forint there. So
mm.
like their currency, they have their own currency, but they use, a lot of the time you can just use euros. And I don't know. It's one of those complicated situations, I think, with the slightly less economically advantaged countries and everything else.
It will be interesting if Moldova becomes part of the EU, and then suddenly there will be a war on Ukraine that the EU will be a part of, and they will be on the line of defense.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. That they are right there on the border. They
They,
definitely
they have
are.
actually a lot of Ukrainian refugees there in Moldova.
Mhm.
And also there is like a part of Moldova who wanted to be like an independent country also. And
Transnistria?
yeah, yeah. They have their own passport, their fake passport. and and when you go there, actually it's like an old Russian communist
Communist
kind of
state. Yeah.
environment.
Yeah.
How
No,
did
I
you
know
know
what you're talking about.
Transnistria?
Dude,
Transnistria.
I'm pretty good with European geography.
I
Pretty
see.
good, especially like that vicinity of the world, like Eastern Europe. I'm pretty versed in. So yeah, I don't know. I had like a interest in like communist like politics when I was younger. I didn't have like a super good understanding probably of it. So I really liked Lenin, and then when I was younger, I liked Stalin too, a little bit. But I realized that kind of Stalin's a total piece of shit. The more I learned about history, obviously. So it was just a complicated time for me. I think one of my
I
relatives really liked it, so I was just like, oh, you know what I mean? Okay, this is interesting. I find it fascinating because it's like a parallel view from what we have in the US, you know what I mean? Like the US and like Russia are very similar while being completely distinct. And I think that was the draw, you know what I mean? It was like the mystery of how we're different, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
I really like Lennon also. He wrote a lot of songs. John Lennon.
John Lennon, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
communism sometimes works actually.
Yeah, it's
It worked.
complicated, yeah.
It worked. It worked with Yugoslavia before until their president died and everything
Created a
went into
power vacuum.
shambles.
Yeah. That's the thing, like communism and stuff like that on paper, it seems really great. It's just like how it's orchestrated and the level of corruption of the people, things like that. I'm not saying that like on paper it doesn't sound like a great idea. I just think that fundamentally people are not able to govern in such ways just because of their predilections towards self-preservation, you know what I mean? People just
are geared to be the best and have the most stuff, you know what I mean? So like you constantly have warring people. You saw that with the USSR, you know what I mean? Those guys were constantly stabbing each other in the fucking back at the end there, trying to attain power and pillage the fucking country. And I think that happens a lot, unfortunately. That's just the nature of people. That's why like things like democracy and everything else work so great because we have these safeguards in place to prevent such things from happening, you know. So it doesn't always work, you know. There's obviously still rampant corruption in such governments, but you know,
Well,
it's gonna happen because people are
technically,
awful.
technically, your democracy didn't prevent the bullet going to
Yeah,
hurt.
that's true. That's true. But you know, violence happens everywhere.
You
We
know
have
what,
some.
what's weird with everything that is happening there, especially when it comes to shooting like prominent figures. Isn't security supposed to be tight with those things?
It depends. It depends if it's private security, if it's national security, or if it's police security. It really just depends. That guy, he goes to different college campuses all over the country, and he sets up a booth, and he'll like sit there and have open discussion and debates with people about political views and things like that. So you know, he probably has pissed some people off, like whether he should have or not. Because honestly, having an open dialogue like that is pretty rare, and he might have some specific views, but he always is very courteous to let other people talk and have that open discussion. So for him to get killed is kind of like really surprising to me because he wasn't like this super bad guy. He at least had the discussion with people. He was open to people's views and opinions. You know what I mean? At the very
That-
least, you know, he wasn't shutting them down,
but
saying that that's not how things are.
the thing about this open discussions there in the U.S., especially with these people from the right and the left, yeah, you know, they say that it's an open discussion, but most of them actually are not really prepared to be
No,
to you know to have some reservations with the opinions of others and to be open to some opinions. That's why this open discussions most of the time doesn't work there because
I can agree with that a
they're-
little bit. People aren't prepared to have those conversations with other people sometimes.
they just wanted to like create a debate, but after that they will not be willing actually to make some changes about how they believe or
Yeah.
with their opinions actually. So that's why for me it doesn't work because they just stick to their beliefs and not some not make some changes or maybe try
A lot
to
of the times,
understand things actually from other perspective also.
I think that a lot of the time that happens without like a seriously concrete push to this person. They're not going to. I was
Mm,
there's this guy Yuri Bezmenov. He's like a KGB defector to the US. He talks about it a little bit. Most people wouldn't believe about the atrocities that other people commit if they don't go to the camp and get a boot up the ass by the guard there persecuting those
mm.
people in camp. Without getting your ball stomped on, you're not going to change your views or believe what you don't want to. You know, that's just how it is. People are preset to believe specific things, and that's just how it is sometimes, you know. But at least we have this open dialogue, so maybe some people get that boot up the ass, you know what I mean? They realize, oh, maybe that my views weren't like super grounded in reality, so perhaps that I need to shift my beliefs just a little bit to be able to function, you know what I mean? And that's what it is, you know, like you got to unseat somebody in a way where they don't feel completely comfortable with what they believe. You create a level of cognitive dissonance inside them and they start to shift their beliefs. You know, that's kind of what it is. That's why you have the open dialogue, though. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to convince everyone, and in fact, you're probably not going to convince 99 out of 100. But as long as you convince that one person that their views might be warped in some way, however minor, then you won. You know, that's how you win that. You know what I mean? And then sometimes it happens to you too. You know, sometimes it's reversed. You know, they provide some information that you didn't have before, and now all of a sudden you're questioning your beliefs and why you believe that thing, and now you have to reassess what you believe and why you believe it. You know,
That,
I think
that
that happens.
that's the reason why most of the time I really like watching podcasts of GOP people actually, because
Hmm.
sometimes what they're talking makes sense.
Yeah, that's the
Half
thing.
of it
Like
makes
you're talking
sense,
about.
half of it doesn't. I just like absorb the things that I wanted that makes sense for me actually.
No, I get what you're saying. That's why I watch people from both sides of the political, or like basically all sides of the political spectrum. We have like the two in the U.S., but you know, I watch stuff from other countries. You know, whether it be like socialist, communist, fascist, you know, Republican, liberals. I like to trying to absorb and curate through that to see what makes sense for people in general. I think that's what most people should do, but unfortunately most people are polarized. Like you were talking about Ben Shapiro earlier, dude. Like I said, I don't completely agree with him all the time, but sometimes he has good points, you know, and that's the reason it's good to engage with people and have that dialogue if you can, you know what I mean? Trying
Mm.
to shift and assess what you believe with the most amount of current and precise data you can.
Have you seen the
That's
uprising in
what
Nepal? Nepal,
the what?
the
What was that?
uprising in Kathmandu in Nepal.
Oh man, I haven't recently.
Oh, really?
I focused on Nepal. No, no.
Have you been talking to who's this guy? The Singaporean one, our friend from New Zealand.
I mean, I try to talk to lots of different ones. Are you talking about
Our
David?
Yeah, David. It's been in Indonesia. Indonesia, right? Is he
Yeah, I
safe
talk to him
there?
sometimes. I think that for the most part it is. I think that with was it Cambodia and stuff like that that
Mhm.
that kind of like dissipated, or was that? Am I thinking Thailand and Cambodia? Sorry.
It's in Indonesia also.
God,
Um,
there's like so much going on all the time. Like I said, yeah, that's the thing. I
people
talked to
have
David a
been
little bit, but not about that.
people have been burning houses there in Indonesia. It's also happening in Nepal.
Oh, with the goddamn One Piece flag and shit. Yeah, I saw some stuff about the One Piece flag, and I'm just like, what the hell? I don't know a lot about it. Yeah, no, I've seen it cross my newsreels and stuff. But again, like I said, I've been really focused on school lately, so I haven't been like up in the news and
I see.
doing lots of things that I otherwise would. I do know kind of what you're talking about.
I see. Yeah, you're static again. Actually. Anyway, let's end it. Yeah, yeah. And anyway, Dorian, I'm just wondering, when are we going to do your live on your channel? Are we going to do this on Tuesday? Okay. I can't understand you already. Let's just end this and we'll just chat, you know? Okay. I'll keep in touch. Bye bye.